Welcome to Dark Side of History channel, where the untold stories of the past come to life. So don't forget to subscribe and uncover the mystery.
Chinese mining sluice box operations. Chinese immigrants used wooden sluice boxes to separate valuable minerals from gravel during the California Gold Rush in 1871. These hardworking miners often worked claims that had been abandoned by other prospectors, using patient techniques to extract gold that others had missed. The Chinese mining operations showed how immigrant communities found opportunities in the American West despite facing discrimination. Chinese California laborers' mountain work. Chinese workers in Tuolumne County carried bucket poles while hauling sand and ore during the expansion period in 1866. These strong laborers performed dangerous and difficult work in the Sierra Nevada mountains, often for lower wages than other workers received. The Chinese laborers' contribution was essential to California's mining and railroad development despite facing prejudice and unfair treatment. King's Survey Crew Mountain Mapping. A survey team gathered beside their tents and equipment while mapping the mountainous American West region between 1869 and 1878. These skilled engineers and surveyors created the maps that would guide railroad construction, town planning, and land distribution across the frontier. The survey work was essential for organizing the vast western territories into states and counties. Mormon Immigrant Wagon Train Journey. Covered wagon caravan families traveled toward new lands carrying all their belongings during the Mormon migration in 1879. These religious pioneers left their former homes to build new communities in the Western Territories where they could practice their faith freely. The wagon train represented the determination of religious groups to find freedom and opportunity in the American West. Pony Express Rider Mail Service. Frank Webner rode for the Pony Express Mail Service in 1861, delivering letters swiftly between Missouri and California across dangerous frontier territory. These brave riders risked attacks from hostile Native Americans, dangerous weather, and wild animals to carry important mail across the continent. The Pony Express represented the need for fast communication across the vast distances of the American West. Concord Stagecoach Kansas Express. An express company's Concord Stagecoach operated with soldier guards at Hays, Kansas between 1867 and 1869. These sturdy vehicles carried passengers, mail, and valuable cargo across the dangerous frontier where bandits and hostile tribes threatened travelers. The stagecoach service provided essential transportation links between isolated frontier settlements and the civilized East. Wells Fargo Stage Office, California. Multiple horse-drawn coaches waited at the Wells Fargo stage office in Cisco, California in 1868, ready for passenger and freight transport. This famous company provided reliable transportation and shipping services throughout the American West, connecting remote mining towns with major cities. The Wells Fargo operation represented how private companies built the infrastructure that made Western settlement possible. Wyoming Surveying Railroad Camp. Engineers in Laramie County, Wyoming, mapped the area for future railroad and road construction from their surveying camp in 1870. These skilled professionals planned the routes that would bring civilization and commerce to the remote territories of the West. The surveying work was essential preparation for the transportation networks that would connect Western communities. Texas Railroad Depot Community Gathering. The Granger Station Depot featured period-dressed men and women waiting for passengers and freight trains in the 1890s. These railroad stations became the heart of frontier communities, connecting them to the wider world of commerce and communication. The depot gathering showed how railroads transformed isolated settlements into connected parts of the national economy. Oklahoma Territory Merchant Store. A wooden building in Anadarko served as a merchant store supplying essential goods to the local Oklahoma Territory community in 1901. These frontier stores provided everything from food and clothing to tools and ammunition for settlers trying to build new lives. The merchant store was often the economic center of frontier towns, extending credit and providing gathering places for news and social interaction. Colorado Central City Gold Rush. Wooden houses spread across the hills of Central City, Colorado during the rapid gold rush growth period in 1864. This mining boom town grew from nothing to thousands of residents in just a few years as prospectors rushed to find their fortunes. The hillside houses showed how quickly frontier communities could develop when valuable minerals were discovered. Arizona Territory Flagstaff Development. Stone houses and buildings lined the dirt streets of Flagstaff in Arizona Territory in 1899. This growing community served travelers, ranchers, and loggers in the high country of northern Arizona. The stone construction showed how frontier builders adapted their techniques to use local materials and withstand harsh weather conditions. Indian Territory Trading Post. The cash store at Fort Sill served as a trading post for the local Indian Territory community when it was established on May 9, 1875. This frontier business exchanged goods with both Native American tribes and white settlers, creating economic connections across cultural boundaries. The trading post represented how commerce could bridge differences between different groups on the frontier. Montana Helena Main Street Activity. Helena's Main Street bustled with wagons, horses, and people gathering along wooden sidewalks in 1874. This territorial capital grew rapidly during the gold rush and became the political and economic center of Montana. The busy street scene showed how successful mining towns developed into permanent communities with government, business, and social institutions. Deadwood Main Street Business. The busy Main Street of Deadwood, South Dakota, featured shops, wagons, and people moving among wooden buildings in 1877. This famous frontier town attracted miners, gamblers, and business people seeking their fortunes in the Black Hills Gold Rush. The Main Street activity represented the wild and energetic atmosphere of boom towns during their peak prosperity periods. Alaska Juneau Port Commerce. Wooden houses and waterfront warehouses served as commerce and maritime hubs in the Juneau Port area during the 1890s. This remote Alaska community depended on ships for all supplies and communication with the outside world. The port facilities showed how frontier communities in isolated locations had to develop specialized infrastructure to survive and prosper. Oregon Baker City Main Street Activity. Baker City's Main Street featured shops including a bakery and tobacconist, with residents gathering on sidewalks in 1875. This eastern Oregon town served the mining districts and cattle ranches of the region as a supply and transportation center. The Main Street businesses showed how frontier towns developed specialized services to meet the needs of their surrounding communities. Arizona Jerome Hillside Mining Town. Houses in Jerome, Arizona demonstrated adaptation to mountain terrain with construction projects visible during the mining boom in 1890. This copper mining town was built on steep hillsides where traditional town planning was impossible. The hillside construction showed how frontier builders overcame geographical challenges to create communities where valuable minerals were found. Central Pacific Railroad Sierra Crew. A full construction crew worked in the Sierra Nevada mountains to connect the Western Railroad to the rest of the country in 1866. These workers, including many Chinese immigrants, blasted through solid rock and built bridges across deep canyons. The railroad construction represented one of the greatest engineering achievements in American history and the key to Western development. California Panamint City Valley Community. Simple wooden structures form the small valley community of Panamint City, California, between arid mountains in 1875. This remote mining camp was established in one of the most isolated and harsh environments in the American West. The valley settlement showed how the search for precious metals drove people to establish communities, even in the most difficult and dangerous locations. Pioneer Wooden House Weather Shelter. A steep-roofed dwelling provided crucial shelter from harsh weather conditions for frontier families. These sturdy log and wooden houses were designed to withstand extreme temperatures, heavy snow, and violent storms common in frontier territories. The pioneer house represented the basic human need for shelter and the skills required